What's going on, guys? Welcome back to W.D.Y.D. CSP. What do you do as a central stir processor? All right, guys, I want to give a shout out to the question that I received on my inbox about the use of the eraser on the field. Thank you for the question, and I hope I answered your question as best as possible. During our chat, but I wanted to do a little video on it for everyone else who's kind of skeptical about this process, because it's not a typical thing that you see on the field anymore. Only the old school G's do this. I still practice it. I still teach my students about it because, again, I often hear that a seasoned technician can tell the difference between soil and bio and rust and staining, and that is not true. Let me tell you something. It can be tricky to find out what is soil, what is bioburden. Same difference. What's rust and what's staining? So, how do you use the eraser test on the field and avoid contaminating your field? So let's say we have our field already sorted out here, right? Okay, so I have all my instrumentation sorted out. Everything's in the likes and things of that nature. And you come across three instruments that have some spotting on it, right? Some kind of, blemish. It's easy to say, hey, I can look at this and all right, that's not rust. It's some staining. Okay, definitely not bioburden. Okay, it's definitely not no dried up blood. And I can confirm that. I can go ahead and grab a soil tester and check it out, but it just doesn't look like blood, right? Okay, I look at this instrumentation and that is a good amount of corrosion there. Okay, I can easily tell that this is corrosion only because of the way it's splattered on there. It has like an orange ring to it, darker spots in the middle. That is indicative of rusting, corrosion, things of that nature. Now, I can use the eraser test to verify that, to see if there's any scratches underneath there, any pitting underneath of that staining or that rust or whatever that may be. But this is just a significant amount, so it's not even worth doing an eraser test on this. This instrumentation, I'm just going to remove, you see that? I'm just going to remove this off the field, and I'm just going to replace this instrument. That's just too much. I'm not even going to waste my time on it, right? And again, if you look at that, you might be saying, hey, son Jesse, that doesn't look typical of rust. That might be some soil. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not. I did test, and I should have tested it on the field to show you guys that it's not bioburden. It is some kind of staining, some kind of corrosion. The lighting isn't doing it real good justice. I wish I could have got a better resolution on this or better lighting to show you. But this is a significant amount of corrosion on this specific instrument. All right, and I think it has something to do with the finish on these instruments, because this is very common for this type of instrumentation for this specific manufacturer. But more on that later on. But all my other instrumentation looks great. There's no corrosion, no rusting, no blemishes on any of my instruments, just these specific forceps right here. So, and I need them all, right? So for the ones that I am going to do the eraser test on, it's going to be done, and I'm going to show you how to do this without contaminating your field, without having the fear of having the shavings from the eraser, which you will produce, onto your other instruments. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a liner here. Okay, now we can moisten this liner, and that's a little trick. Moisten the liner a little bit so that when the shavings fall, it kind of sticks onto the liner. But we're going to go ahead and put a liner. You're going to grab your instrument, and you're going to place it right over the liner. And you're going to go ahead, and the area that you're questioning, you're going to go ahead and use your eraser. Now, I'm being really, really gentle with this because I'm doing it on camera. It's a lot more aggressive than this on the field. I'm going to tell you right now, I usually lay the instrument flat and go ahead and hit it with the eraser. But I'm trying to hit it with the corner of the eraser because the blemish I'm looking at is right in a groove, and I don't want to use that groove like a cheese grater, so it's going to produce more shaving. So this is normally how it's done. It's laid down flat, and you go ahead and erase, and then that little blemish that you were looking at is gone, and I'm going to observe that little blemish to see if there's any scratching or pinning. If there's not, this instrument's fine to go back in the set, right? The eraser's not going to leave any smears, any residue on there, or anything that's going to inhibit the actual sterilization process. What you might want to do is moisten your towel a little bit with some sterile water and go ahead and wipe that instrument off. Now, as you can see, there is the shavings from the eraser, right? It's going to happen, but it's away from my other instruments. It's onto this liner right here in a safe spot away from the rest of the set, right? I'm going to go ahead and wipe off my instrument with a little bit of sterile water, that just in case there's any kind of shavings on there or any leftover erasers on there that you don't want to have that fall into the set, because that'll be a foreign body, right? So, couple things here. Individuals might say, well, Jesse, you know something, the eraser, you did that. You should send that back to decon. Well, how about when you do scissor testing? Okay, there are instances where you do a scissor test, and you see that right there, guys? There's testing material left on that scissor. It happens. Do you send that scissor back to decon, or do you just wipe that off, remove that testing material, and put it back in a set? What about when you do your rongeurs? Let me see. I'm looking for my testing kit. I don't have one on this unit. I should have one at this desk. I don't know why. I'm going to fix that later. But what about when you test your rongeurs with the cardboard? Sometimes the cardboard leaves little shavings on the actual rongeur. What do? Do you send that back to decon so they can take the cardboard off, or do you eject the cardboard off of the rongeur, wipe the tip off, make sure that there's no little filaments of the cardboard left on there? Same thing with the rod testing. When you do the rod testing for your osteotomes, there's shavings that get picked off of there. Where do those shavings go? You make sure that you do it away from other instruments, and you wipe the tip of that instrument off to make sure that there's no residual shavings on that instrument. Even though this isn't a test that you do on every single instrument, it's a verification test to see what it is you're looking at. Is it a stain or is it rust? Do I need to remove this instrument out of circulation, or can I keep it in circulation? Because that stain or whatever that blemish was is something that's not going to interfere with the sterilization process. It's the same for this eraser test, guys. Please don't confuse this as a regular test or one that's going to interfere with any kind of sterilization process or be harmful to the patient. All right, guys, as always, stay true to yourselves. Keep it 100. Continue educating yourself. Until next time, peace.